The iPhone 14 is only a few days away. So, welcome to the final leaks and rumors on the iPhone 14, covering all the leaks and all the details in one video. And I want to start off with a couple of fresh leaks that just came out. First of all, remember that purple shade that was rumored for the iPhone 14 Pro models? Well, we actually have a video of a dummy unit with that shade of purple, and it seems to be changing its color based on its angle. And then according to Ming-Chi Kuo, the iPhone 14 Pros will actually be getting a pretty big ultra-wide camera upgrade, which was not reported before. The sensor is getting bigger, and the pixels on the sensors are getting bigger too, from 1 micron to 1.4. That is a pretty significant upgrade, which will result in much better low light with the ultra-wide camera. Oh, and that satellite SOS connectivity that has been rumored for such a long time might actually be happening. According to Mark Gurman, the name of the Apple event, Far Out, could actually be a reference to that. And on top of that, there is a rumor upcoming partnership between Apple and Globestar that would allow Apple to use Globestar's satellites to enable this feature. And then on top of that, T-Mobile had an event with SpaceX at which they teased satellite connectivity coming to a lot of their customers. Thanks to T-Mobile making use of Starlink's second-gen satellites, T-Mobile customers will be able to get 5G almost anywhere in the US. Data too. Interesting enough, this won't actually require an iPhone 14. But then we have a leak from TrendForce, and they claim that the base iPhone 14 Pro models will actually come with 256 gigabytes of storage instead of 128. So that's a pretty good upgrade. And then Ice Universe tweeted this image of a dummy unit that has a pretty accurate, according to him, punch hole camera module. So these were the latest leaks. Now here's everything else you need to know in terms of the iPhone 14 lineup. So when it comes to the design, the iPhone 14 series looks almost identical to the iPhone 13. The 14 is a tiny bit thicker based on our dummy units, 7.9 millimeters compared to 7.7. And the colors are expected to be black, white, blue, red, and a new purple. So the green has been removed and the pink has also been removed. And it is a bit unclear as to if that black will actually be a new black or, the current midnight. And same applies for the white, which could be the same Starlight or something new. But really the biggest change in the iPhone 14 lineup is the mini model being replaced by the iPhone 14 Max. Now, when it comes to the iPhone 14 Pro series, this is where the big changes are. And the biggest one here being, of course, the notch, which is being replaced by that pill plus hole cutout. I think that Ice Universe previous tweet that I mentioned before shows it really well here. And just like with the 14s, the 14 Pros are also thicker at 7.9 versus 7.7 millimeters. In terms of the colors, the rumored ones are graphite, silver, gold, and the new purple. So the Alpine green has been removed, and so has the Sierra Blue. The purple being similar to the dummy unit that I mentioned before. And the last design change is just a gigantic camera module that you can see on the back, and the reason being a lot of upgrades to the camera, which I'm going to cover in just a second. Now, when it comes to the display, the size is remaining the same. So 6.1 inches on the 14 and 14 Pro, and then 6.7 inches on the 14 Max and the 14 Pro Max. With the 14 series, we're not really expecting any upgrades, potentially a brightness bump. That would be my prediction, from 800 to 1000 nits, matching the Pro models. But other than that, we honestly don't expect any changes. But on the 14 Pros, we are expecting 4 changes here. So the first one being a lower minimum refresh rate from 10 Hz on the 13 Pros to just a single Hertz, which means that these displays would be more power efficient. The second display change is always on functionality. We've seen this reported before, and it's a huge update coming to the Pro models. Third, the bezels are getting a tiny bit thinner on the Pro models compared to the regular, although the difference is just very, very minor. And then 4, the display is actually getting taller on the 14 Pro compared to the 13 Pro by just less than a millimeter. So the difference is very minor, but it is there, and the aspect ratio is also changing a tiny bit because of that. Now let's talk about the cameras. So all models are getting updated front-facing cameras with a wider aperture and autofocus. So this will allow you to take much better photos with a front-facing camera at close range and also at longer range with more depth of field. Now, in terms of the back-facing cameras, the 14 models are getting the same sensor as the iPhone 13 Pro. So that means a larger sensor, which is better in low light, also better stabilization with sensor shift. And then the ultrawide is also getting updated to the same one as on the iPhone 13 Pros. So that means a larger aperture, f1.8 compared to f2.4, and then also autofocus which allows you to have a macro mode. Now, when it comes to the 14 Pros, these are getting those massive camera changes. So if you want to upgrade this year, the camera on the 14 Pros is the main reason too. As you probably know, the sensor is getting bumped to a new 48 megapixel sensor with pixel binning and a 57% larger sensor area compared to the iPhone 13 Pros. And the pixels on these sensors will be massive, 2.5 microns in size in binning mode compared to 2 on the iPhone 13 Pros. So this is why the camera module is so big compared to last year's model. 8K video is also coming, which is a big deal. And then the telephoto camera is getting updated to a 7-element lens from 6. Then the ultrawide, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, is also getting updated according to that Ming Chi Kuo leak. And we might also see a new astrophotography mode on the Pro models if we are to look at that Apple event invite. So that's pretty much it in terms of the camera upgrades. If you want to see a more detailed video on just the camera, check out our latest one right here. Now, in terms of the performance, the iPhone 14 series is sticking with the same Apple A15 chip as in the iPhone 13s. Now, we might just see the 5-core model that we got inside the iPhone 13 Pros, which is a bit better on the GPU side. And it could also be called Apple A16 for marketing purposes, but under the hood, this will essentially be the A15. RAM-wise, we're getting 6 gigabytes. That's actually a bump from 4 that we had last year. And the base storage is staying the same at 128 gigabytes. Now, the 14 Pros are getting the true A16 chip. This could actually be called the A16 Pro, again for marketing purposes, although this is a fairly small upgrade over the A15. So it uses the same 5nm manufacturing process, the N5P from TSMC, and we could potentially see a vapor cooling chamber to actually boost the performance of the A16 Pro. That's been rumored. The RAM is staying the same at 6 gigabytes, and the storage is getting bumped to 256, like I mentioned before. All models are said to come with Wi-Fi 6E. That would add the 6 GHz Wi-Fi band, and apparently help connect to Apple's upcoming mixed reality headsets. And all models will also be getting Snapdragon's new X65 5G modem, which is the world's first 10 gigabit 5G smartphone modem, which is also more power efficient, so it could decrease battery life usage on the iPhone 14s. Speaking of the battery is expected to be larger on all 4 models. That's the reason for that slight thickness increase. And because of that and the 5G efficiency improvements and the display improvements on the Pro models, we should be seeing a noticeably better battery life over the iPhone 13 models. Now, on the iPhone 14 Pro specifically, the charging speed is set to be bumped to 30 watts up from 20. Although this is a bit of an odd one because on the iPhone 13 Pros right now, if you use a more powerful charger, they can actually charge with up to 27 watts. So from 27 in that case to 30, the difference is, quite minor. So we really have to see how Apple markets this. Now, when it comes to the price, the iPhone 14 is expected to remain the same as the 13, so $799. Now, when it comes to the 14 Max, this could be either $899 or $999. My guess would be $899. The iPhone 14 Pro is expected to be $100 more than the iPhone 13 Pro was, so that would be $1099. And same goes for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is expected to be $1199. Now, you do get a lot of things for those $100 extra compared to last year. Like even the storage, if you were to upgrade last year's storage to 256, it would cost the same as they do now. And apparently the camera modules on all of these phones, the front and the ultrawide on the Pro models, is 3 times the cost as last year. But there you go, this is everything you need to know in terms of the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14 Pro lineups. If you want to learn more about the Apple Watch Series 8, the final leaks and rumors, check it out right here. And yeah, I'm super excited for the Apple event. We'll be doing a live stream, by the way, of the event, so stay tuned for that. I'm Daniel, this has been Zen of Tech, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Zen of Tech, signing out. Cheers.